Hello, miladies of inestimable value. Some people speak loudly to be heard. Sigma females speak quietly to be obeyed. Before you roll your eyes, here's the twist. Psychologists have found that the human brain pays more attention to subtle, unpredictable behavior than loud, predictable behavior. In other words, the people who move silently often control the room without anyone realizing it. And that's exactly where the Sigma female reigns, in that invisible space where influence feels like an accident, but is anything but. She isn't dramatic, she isn't flashy, and she definitely isn't going to start throwing chairs to prove a point. No, she'll simply shift her energy half an inch, and suddenly everyone else is adjusting theirs like confused Wi-Fi routers looking for signal. The Sigma female's power moves are so understated, so low frequency, so psychologically lethal, that most people don't even know they've been outmaneuvered until the moment it's already too late. You think she's quiet? No, she's calculating. You think she's detached? She's just 5 layers ahead while you're still loading. And today, we're diving into the silent mechanisms, the psychological traps, and the invisible dominant strategies she uses that nobody, absolutely nobody, notices until they're already under her spell. Let's pull back the curtain on the power everyone feels, but can never quite explain. Number 1. She reads people's hidden priorities based on what they withhold. A Sigma female has a talent that most people completely underestimate. She doesn't just pay attention to what people say, she pays attention to what they don't say. While everyone else is busy analyzing words, she's scanning the gaps, the pauses, the parts of conversations people avoid. Those silences are not empty to her. They are full of secrets, desires, fears, and unspoken ambitions. What someone chooses to withhold is often more telling than what they openly share. It reveals what they truly value, what they are protecting, and what they hope no one will ever discover about them. She notices the topics someone always skirts around, the moments when someone's gaze flickers away, the tiny evasions in tone or body language. These small acts are like breadcrumbs, leading her straight to the heart of a person's priorities. She doesn't need confessions, dramatic gestures, or over-the-top displays of loyalty to figure out who someone really is. People inadvertently expose themselves when they withhold information because they think no one is paying attention. But she is. Every omission, every carefully hidden detail becomes a map for her, revealing motivations that most people spend their whole lives trying to disguise. This skill allows her to operate with a strategic advantage. She can anticipate actions before they happen, navigate relationships without confrontation, and make decisions that leave others wondering how she always seems one step ahead. While most people focus on appearances and performative honesty, the Sigma female is reading between the lines, seeing the true structure of someone's priorities, their hidden fears, and their unspoken goals. She doesn't confront these truths directly. She simply integrates them into her awareness, using them to position herself in ways others don't even realize. In a world where people are judged by what they show, the Sigma female thrives on what people hide. She understands that the quiet omissions, the avoided topics, and the things people are afraid to admit often carry more power than the things they shout. By paying attention to these gaps, she gains insight that is impossible to fake and influence that is impossible to resist. She doesn't just observe people. She deciphers them, quietly, methodically, and with extraordinary precision. Number 2, she makes her intentions unreadable on purpose. One of the most subtle yet devastating power moves a Sigma female uses is making her intentions completely unreadable. She doesn't reveal what she wants, what she fears, or what she's planning, and she does it intentionally. People around her constantly try to guess her next move, but she gives them nothing to hold on to. She understands that predictability is vulnerability. The more transparent someone is about their motives, the easier it becomes for others to manipulate, influence, or control them. She flips that dynamic entirely. She thrives in ambiguity, letting others project their assumptions onto her, while she remains untouchable. Her unreadability creates a psychological tension that's almost addictive. People are drawn to her, trying to figure her out, offering themselves up in the process. She doesn't need to say anything. The mystery she carries does all the work. While most people are busy proving themselves or revealing their plans, she moves silently and deliberately, keeping her options open. She never locks herself into expectations or obligations, because revealing intentions prematurely would hand over leverage to someone else. By keeping her desires opaque, she maintains control over both the situation and the people in it. This isn't just about secrecy, it's about strategic influence. When her intentions are hidden, people reveal more than they intend to. They test her boundaries, push her limits, and show their true colors, often without realizing it. Meanwhile, she observes, absorbs, and positions herself with perfect timing. She can strike, withdraw, or redirect at will, always on her own terms. Her unreadability also protects her emotionally. By refusing to broadcast what she wants or fears, she shields herself from judgment, manipulation, and unnecessary conflict. No one can pressure her into a decision she hasn't made or exploit her vulnerabilities if they don't know where they lie. People become obsessed with deciphering her, but she isn't concerned. They are, and that's exactly how she wants it. Her power lies not in what she does, but in the deliberate invisibility of her intentions, turning curiosity, confusion, and misjudgment into her quiet advantage. Number 3. She uses silence to push others into oversharing. A Sigma female understands that silence is far more powerful than words when it comes to uncovering the truth. She doesn't feel the need to fill every pause with chatter or explanations. Instead, she embraces quietness as a tool, letting the stillness work for her. Most people are uncomfortable with silence. They feel compelled to fill it, often revealing far more than they intended. The Sigma female exploits this natural tension with absolute precision. By remaining calm, composed, and utterly silent, she encourages others to reveal their thoughts, secrets, and motivations without ever asking a single question. Her silence is not passive, it's active observation. She watches the subtle shifts in expression, the faltering words, the hurried explanations that people throw out to fill the vacuum. Every overshare becomes a window into someone's true priorities, weaknesses, and desires. People don't realize they are giving away their own power while trying to break her calm. She doesn't need to interrogate or manipulate aggressively. Her quiet presence does all the work. The more someone talks to escape the discomfort of silence, the more control she gains without lifting a finger. By using silence this way, she creates a psychological imbalance that benefits her strategically. People feel exposed and unsettled without understanding why. They begin projecting, confessing, and revealing layers of themselves that are usually hidden. In those moments, she gains insights that would take weeks of conversation for others to uncover. She absorbs these truths effortlessly and integrates them into her understanding of the people around her. Silence also amplifies her aura. People are drawn to her presence not just because of what she says, but because of what she doesn't say. That restraint gives her an unspoken authority, a subtle power that operates below the surface, unnoticed but profoundly effective. She doesn't need to dominate conversations or prove her intelligence. The quiet she maintains ensures others expose themselves willingly, while she remains untouchable, composed, and always one step ahead. Her mastery of silence turns a simple lack of words into a weapon. extracting more than anyone realizes and leaving her in complete control of the social landscape. Number 4. She creates psychological leverage by being impossible to influence. A Sigma female's most formidable power comes from her emotional independence. She doesn't bend, she doesn't sway, and she doesn't allow others to manipulate her decisions or reactions. This isn't arrogance or stubbornness, it's a deliberate strategy. People naturally try to influence, persuade, or control those around them, often assuming that everyone has the same triggers, fears, and desires they do. The Sigma female, however, has removed herself entirely from that predictable system. Her reactions are her own, her choices are her own, and as a result, she becomes untouchable in situations where most people are easily swayed. Being impossible to influence isn't about refusing to listen. It's about maintaining complete mental sovereignty. While others are reacting emotionally, she observes calmly and evaluates logically. Offers, pressure, guilt, or flattery don't bend her. People around her begin to realize that their usual tactics, persuasion, manipulation, or even intimidation, have no effect. That realization alone gives her an incredible psychological advantage. When everyone else's influence fails, she controls the flow of interaction simply by existing on her own terms. This independence forces people to overexpose themselves. They test her, they push boundaries, they try harder than they should to gain her approval or provoke a reaction, all while she remains steady, observing, and unaffected. Her calm, impenetrable presence forces others into mistakes and reveals their true intentions. She doesn't need to argue, defend, or act aggressively. Her power lies in the fact that she cannot be moved off-center. Because she cannot be influenced, she dictates her own narrative and timing. She decides when to act, when to speak, and when to withdraw, and no external pressure can rush her. This creates an aura of authority that is silent yet magnetic, one that draws attention and respect without her having to demand it. People instinctively recognize that they are no longer in control. She has already mastered the art of self-possession, and in that mastery lies a quiet, invisible dominance that few can ever match. The Sigma female doesn't just survive in social dynamics. She thrives, untouchable, unshakable, and in complete control of herself and the people around her. Number 5. She observes you as if you're a case study, not a threat. A Sigma female approaches people with a level of detachment that most find unsettling. She doesn't react emotionally, she doesn't compete for attention, and she doesn't rush to form opinions. Instead, she watches quietly, absorbing everything, as if the person in front of her is a living experiment rather than a rival or an ally. Her gaze isn't cold, it's analytical. She notices the tiniest patterns, the way someone shifts when they lie, the subtle micro-expressions that betray true feelings, the unspoken hierarchies they navigate without realizing it. To her, every action, pause, or slip of the tongue is data. This neutrality creates a unique kind of intimidation. People instinctively sense that she isn't invested in judgment or manipulation, yet they feel the weight of her attention. It's not hostility, it's precision. Unlike most interactions where people mirror, compete, or react defensively, she remains unshakably composed. That calm, impartial observation puts others on edge, because it exposes them without ever confronting them directly. She doesn't need to challenge or control. You reveal yourself simply by being around her. She's not studying to exploit, at least not immediately. She studies to understand. She wants to map your psychology, predict your reactions, and understand your priorities, strengths, and weaknesses. The insights she gains allow her to navigate social dynamics, relationships, and even conflict with an almost surgical efficiency. By observing without judgment, she collects information others give away unintentionally, often while trying to impress, dominate, or manipulate. Her ability to treat people like living case studies makes her unpredictable and untouchable. While others are busy reacting, performing, or defending themselves, she moves through the world with clarity and control. People are unnerved because she's not reacting to their noise. She's reading between the lines, cataloging behavior, and quietly adjusting her own strategy in response. That kind of observation, clinical yet patient, is what makes a Sigma female so quietly powerful. She doesn't need to dominate to be in control. She simply understands people far better than they understand themselves. Number 6. She detects power by observing who breaks rules. When they think no one will call them out. A Sigma. Female has a knack for seeing people exactly as they are, not as they present themselves. She doesn't rely on tests, confrontations, or staged situations to measure character. Instead, she waits for moments when others believe they are unobserved or unaccountable. Those are the moments that reveal a person's true priorities, integrity, and sense of power. She knows that the real measure of someone isn't how they act under scrutiny. It's how they behave when they think no one is watching. She notices who bends rules for convenience, who cuts corners without guilt, and who claims moral high ground publicly while quietly breaking their own standards. These observations aren't judgments, they're data. She reads people not for revenge or exposure, but to understand the true landscape of social and professional power around her. The Sigma female recognizes that status and influence aren't always declared. They are demonstrated in the small, often invisible choices people make when there's nothing to gain or lose from honesty. By staying neutral and observant, she doesn't put herself in the spotlight or create unnecessary conflict. She absorbs information silently, cataloging the patterns of behavior she sees. Those who attempt to deceive, manipulate, or exploit reveal their limits and vulnerabilities effortlessly when they believe they are untouchable. In contrast, those who maintain integrity even in private gain her respect, even if she never announces it. This strategy allows her to position herself strategically without confrontation. She understands who can be trusted, who will betray, and who holds genuine influence. She doesn't need to challenge anyone openly. She simply observes, lets their choices speak, and aligns herself accordingly. The Sigma female's power lies in her patience, perception, and subtlety. She discerns the hierarchy of character and influence around her quietly, ensuring that when it matters, she always knows exactly where people stand and can move with precision while everyone else is still pretending to play the game. Number 7. She controls conversations through psychological weight, not volume. A Sigma female doesn't dominate conversations with loudness, theatrics, or endless talking. Instead, she exerts control through precision, timing, and the careful placement of her words. Each statement is measured, deliberate, and loaded with subtle power. She understands that true influence doesn't come from how much you say, but from the impact your words leave. Even a single line from her can shift the mood of a room, unsettle an argument, or make someone rethink their stance without her ever raising her voice. Her sentences carry psychological weight because they are crafted to do more than convey information. They trigger reflection, tension, or revelation in the listener. She rarely explains, over-justifies, or repeats herself. Instead, she says exactly what is necessary, letting the unspoken implications fill the space around her. People are left processing her words long after she has stopped speaking, often realizing too late how her influence has quietly steered the conversation or shaped perceptions. This skill also gives her control over emotional dynamics. She knows which words to drop to calm a tense situation or subtly shift power in her favor. Her input feels intentional, almost surgical. Others may dominate the room with chatter, but she dominates the psychological space of the room, People lean in, respond instinctively, or reveal more than they intended, all because she speaks with authority rooted in thoughtfulness, not volume. Her mastery of conversation makes her unpredictable, yet respected. No one can anticipate her influence because it doesn't rely on theatrics or force. It relies on the slow-burning, almost invisible impact her words leave behind. While others rush to fill silence or assert dominance, she moves through discussions like a strategist, leaving subtle but indelible marks on everyone she engages with. In her hands, words are weapons, shields, and tools all at once, demonstrating that power isn't about being heard, it's about being felt. Number 8. She ends relationships without announcing it. A Sigma female doesn't dramatize breakups or issue warnings when she's ready to move on. She ends relationships quietly, with a precision that leaves others confused and off balance. The decision happens internally, long before any action is visible. She disconnects mentally first, withdrawing emotional energy, attention, and investment in subtle ways that are almost imperceptible. By the time someone realizes something has shifted, she has already repositioned herself emotionally, mentally, and strategically far ahead of the situation. Her approach isn't coldness for its own sake, it's deliberate. She understands that confrontation or declarations are often unnecessary and can create resistance or unnecessary drama. Instead, she creates a natural separation through absence and detachment. Conversations become lighter, interactions more distant, and engagement slower. Those around her sense the change, but they rarely understand its magnitude until they are left holding a version of the relationship that no longer exists. This method gives her total control, while others might react with desperation, guilt, or attempts to salvage what's already over. She remains unshaken, fully aware of her own priorities and boundaries. She doesn't need to explain herself. The shift in energy communicates everything that words cannot. Her silence, consistency, and composure amplify the effect, ensuring that her exit is complete without unnecessary conflict. Ending a relationship this way also protects her psychologically. By disengaging gradually, she avoids unnecessary entanglement with the emotions of others, maintaining her own stability while allowing the other person to come to terms with reality on their own. She doesn't burn bridges in vain. She simply removes herself from systems, dynamics, and people that no longer serve her. In this quiet, invisible way, the Sigma female ensures that her life moves forward efficiently, deliberately, and without interference, leaving behind only the traces of a presence that has already moved on. Number 9. She shifts her energy instead of her words. A Sigma female understands that influence isn't just about what you say, it's about the energy you carry. Words can inform, persuade, or entertain, but energy shapes perception, mood, and behavior at a much deeper, almost instinctual level. She doesn't need to lecture, argue, or convince anyone. She changes the atmosphere simply by shifting her presence. Calm, detached, or quietly firm, her energy acts like a subtle signal that the environment and the people within it unconsciously respond to. This ability allows her to control situations without speaking a single commanding word. A tense room relaxes when she radiates calm. People hesitate or reconsider impulsive decisions when she exudes quiet firmness. Conversations redirect, attention refocuses, and dynamics subtly realign, all because she's adjusted her own energy. Unlike others who rely on volume, charisma, or verbal dominance, she manipulates the invisible, underlying currents that actually dictate behavior. Her shifts are deliberate, but never overt. She isn't forcing outcomes, she's creating conditions in which outcomes naturally favor her. People often sense something has changed, but they can't pinpoint exactly what caused it. Her energy resonates beneath the surface, influencing actions, decisions, and perceptions without anyone consciously realizing it. That makes her influence almost imperceptible, yet incredibly effective. By mastering this skill, she avoids unnecessary conflict and maintains control over interactions in a way that feels effortless. Her words may be minimal, but the psychological impact of her presence is enormous. She doesn't need to dominate conversations or dictate terms. She simply calibrates her energy, and the room adjusts accordingly. This ability to shift the invisible currents around her makes her unpredictable, commanding, and respected. Her power lies in subtlety, proving that the most effective influence often comes not from what is said, but from the unspoken force she projects. Number 10. She uses emotional dead air as a weapon. A Sigma female wields silence like a finely tuned instrument, especially when someone tries to manipulate her emotionally. Instead of reacting, arguing, or defending herself, she offers nothing. No validation, no outrage, no excuses. That absence of response is disarming. People who rely on emotional triggers expect a reaction. They anticipate a pushback, a guilt response, or even a defensiveness they can exploit. When none of that comes, they are forced to face their own behavior without the crutch of her energy feeding into it. Her silence acts like a mirror. By giving nothing, she reflects the manipulator's tactics back at them in a way they cannot deny but cannot control. It is subtle, almost invisible, yet devastatingly effective. Those trying to provoke her are left exposed, confronted by the emptiness of her response, and often panic internally because the usual levers of influence simply don't work. She doesn't need to say a word to assert dominance or control a situation. The lack of engagement alone accomplishes it. This tactic works across every type of relationship, from personal to professional. In environments where people thrive on emotional reactions, arguments, dramatics, or subtle guilt plays, she maintains her independence and composure. People eventually reveal their intentions, limitations, or desperation without realizing they are doing it on her terms. Using emotional dead air is also protective. It prevents unnecessary entanglements, shields her from manipulation, and keeps her focus on strategy rather than chaos. Her silence is neither passive nor timid. It is an active, deliberate move that neutralizes others while she remains untouchable. In a world full of people desperate for reactions, the Sigma female's refusal to participate becomes her quiet, lethal edge. The emptiness she offers is not absence. It is power in its purest, most understated form. Number 11. She notices what you stop doing, not what you do. A Sigma female has an extraordinary ability to detect subtle shifts in behavior that most people overlook. While everyone else focuses on what people say or do, she pays attention to what people stop doing. She notices the absence of energy, enthusiasm, or attention. The moments when someone gradually withdraws, avoids eye contact, or stops investing the effort they once did. These gaps reveal more about intentions, priorities, and loyalty than any action ever could. She understands that people often communicate their true feelings through omission rather than words. A friend who stops reaching out, a colleague who no longer contributes ideas, or a partner who silently disengages. All of these voids signal shifts in mindset or alignment. Where most people chase after actions to interpret meaning, she reads the silences, the half-smiles that don't reach the eyes, and the patterns of withdrawal. Those subtle absences tell her who is committed, who is fading, and who is pretending, all without a confrontation. By tracking what people no longer do, she gains insights that are almost impossible to fake. Someone may still perform on the surface, but their withdrawal from effort, attention, or emotional investment exposes their true priorities. She uses these invisible cues to navigate relationships, alliances, and social dynamics with precision. She doesn't need people to tell her how they feel or what they intend. She already knows by what they leave behind. This ability also makes her exceptionally hard to manipulate. While others are distracted by gestures, words, or superficial charm, she sees the underlying reality. She reads the voids, interprets the gaps, and moves accordingly. In a world where people focus on appearances and performativity, the Sigma female thrives on what's missing. She doesn't just observe, she deciphers the silent language of absence, turning what others ignore into a powerful lens for understanding, predicting, and navigating human behavior. Number 12. She makes people reveal themselves by giving them too much freedom. A Sigma female wields the most unexpected kind of power, the power of stepping back. She doesn't micromanage, interrogate, or try to control those around her. Instead, she deliberately gives people freedom, the kind that most take for granted but rarely handle honestly. By removing constraints, she lets others reveal their true nature, motives, and priorities without realizing they're doing it. When there are no rules, no pressure to perform, and no boundaries forcing pretense, people show who they really are. She understands that control often masks truth. Most social dynamics are full of facades. People act in ways they think they should to please, manipulate, or maintain appearances. The Sigma female doesn't enforce any expectations. She doesn't react to attempts at impressing her or placating her. By allowing complete freedom, she exposes the gaps between performance and reality. Those who are genuine continue to act with integrity. Those who are self-serving or manipulative reveal themselves quickly and unguardedly. This tactic requires patience and observation. She doesn't push, prod, or confront. She simply observes the consequences of liberty. People spill their real priorities, ambitions, and weaknesses when no one is policing their behavior. Their intentions become clear, not through words, but through how they exercise freedom. Who takes advantage, who shirks responsibility, who respects boundaries even when unsupervised, and who abandons decency when unchecked. By giving freedom instead of imposing control, she gains insight without conflict. She learns who is trustworthy, who is unreliable, and who operates with authentic versus performative values. People often leave her astounded because they didn't realize their true selves were being observed and assessed all along. The Sigma female turns openness into a mirror for character. She doesn't force people to reveal themselves. She simply creates the conditions where truth emerges naturally, allowing her to read and navigate the world with extraordinary clarity and unassailable advantage. Conclusion. The Sigma female operates on a plane most people never even notice. Her power isn't loud, obvious, or performative. It's subtle, strategic, and profoundly psychological. Every movement she makes, every pause she holds, and every word she chooses, or doesn't choose, serves a purpose far beyond the surface. From letting people reveal themselves through freedom, to observing absences rather than actions, to maintaining an unreadable aura that keeps everyone guessing, she creates influence in ways that are invisible, yet unstoppable. Her silence speaks louder than words, her calm disarms chaos, and her patience turns time itself into a weapon in her favor. What sets her apart isn't just her intelligence or intuition. It's the mastery of human behavior without ever needing to prove herself. She doesn't dominate by volume or force. She dominates by understanding, by anticipation, and by allowing others to expose themselves without realizing it. People walk away from interactions with her feeling like they were in control, only to later realize that she has already moved several steps ahead, untouchable and unshakable. Every observation, every shift in energy, every withheld reaction is a deliberate move in a game others don't even know they're playing. The Sigma female's power is a lesson in restraint, subtlety, and strategy. She reminds us that influence isn't about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about being the one who shapes outcomes quietly, predictably, and in total control of herself. Those who underestimate her often pay the price without even realizing it, while she continues to operate with unmatched clarity and precision. She is the silent force behind the scenes, the invisible strategist, and the one who wields quiet dominance with extraordinary effectiveness. If this deep dive into the silent power moves of Sigma females fascinated you, then don't just stop here. Hit that subscribe button to join the channel, like this video to show your support, and share it with anyone who needs to understand the hidden dynamics of human behavior. Leave a comment below with your thoughts or experiences, because there's always more to uncover, and your insight could be the next revelation in mastering the silent art of power. Stay alert, stay strategic, and remember, the most formidable influence is often the one you never see coming.